Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, you can go for all those assets at the end of their driveway.
Two gavel and a sound block.
What?
Oh, okay. Thanks, Mike. Okay, we'll get started here. The December meeting of the City Infrastructure Committee. Roll call, please.
Counselor Ensel?
Here.
Counselor McFarland?
I'm here.
Mayor Reed? Counselor Armstrong? Here. Counselor Kelly?
Here.
Okay, at this point, if there is anyone present that would like to address the council on any agenda items. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 2, reports from the department representatives and discussion with councilors. I guess we'll start. John, we'll start with you this time.
Okay. Extensive update last time. We have a kickoff meeting scheduled next week for all the mitigation work that's being done at the Water Resource Recovery Facility. And we have a consultant coming in to do an energy asset management study to start the kickoff for that. We were invited to participate in a program that's funded by the state. So they're coming in to do an energy audit of the plant, all our assets, and give us advice on how we might be able to use less energy, save some money, and I'm hoping that in the long run it'll give us a leg up moving into some grant programs for some energy efficiency upgrades.
Yes. Could you remind me what the mitigation that they do for odor and sound mostly?
Odor, noise, and aesthetics.
Okay.
The 3 big components. I'll tell you this too, we've been talking about building a prototype enclosure around our big aerators that make a lot of noise and provide a lot of hum down there. First prototype was installed today and it worked fabulous. The hum and the noise from the motor from 40 feet away, you can't hear it at all.
Excellent.
So we're confident that there are things we can do to reduce or eliminate the noise. I think we're going to build some bigger enclosures. This is the one that was installed.
Did you folks invent that yourself?
Yep.
Good work.
Matt Garden, our maintenance worker, is a phenomenal metal worker and fabricator. He designed it and built it along with some of his buddies down there, and they put it up. It's not real pretty looking, but it demonstrated what we were looking to demonstrate. So those are big things.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any other questions for John?
Thank you.
Okay, Public Works. Mr. Brody.
As you know, the main road project is shut down now for the winter. Got some sidewalk work and some curbing work to do next year. And the other projects I will refer to Mr. Bissett. We have to talk about what we're doing with certain projects that I have on the list.
Before you get started, Mike, I just wanted to ask, Mike, I know I think each of us have kind of heard just some questions about the manholes on Cornelia Street with the is there anything that can be done?
We've covered them over with coal patch for the winter.
Okay.
Well, there's five structures there, right there in question. 4 of the 5 belong to Verizon. You see Verizon throughout the city, probably recently doing maintenance work. Prior to the Cornelia Street project, which was the last and kind of much put in there, we had notified them. They went out and they repaired 2. We did it at night. And like every other piece of work that you sit in the city, they don't inform anyone. So we had a bunch of complaints from one homeowner about it. They got 2 of the 2 done, and they still have 4 more to do. Right? And they're in the process of doing some other items, and they do plan on raising the rims. And we have 1 that we need to take care of ourselves. But in the meantime, we patched over them. We'll see where they're at.
Thank you.
Okay. The other thing we're gonna talk about, actually, I'm gonna probably hand off to Andrew here. We met with Mayor Reed and corporate counsel about the Wilcox Marina. Andrew's completed the permit paperwork. It's ready for submission. It's a rather extensive package. We spent a lot of time on it. I think what, in excess of 200 pages.
Yep.
Wow.
What we think we're prepared to submit and move that forward. As far as other work that's going on, we did reestablish an infrastructure committee, a smaller group. There was Andrew, myself, Matt Miller, and Neva. Started talking about capital work for next year, other upcoming projects, long-term stuff. One in particular up at Cornelia Street. I think everyone's interested in that. We need to start talking about it again. It's not going to be an overnight thing, so it's going to take some research on everyone's part. And then hopefully we'll start preparing for next year's season, get ahead of this time.
But in regard to the marina, are we looking at for this spring, this summer?
A lot will depend on the permitting process, but yes, we're prepared to get it in. We did a mock-up last fall,
Right.
as you know. So we have we could very efficiently get it in the water. It's a matter of all the, how many agencies? 5?
8, I think, agencies total.
Yes.
Good luck.
The package is very complete. Hopefully it answers all their questions, so we're not going back 2 or 3 or 4 times. We did meet with 2 of the agencies already on site. They were pleased with what we had put forward. Any questions, any gray areas, Andrew had reached out to them prior to putting this together. But again, it's a substantial document. The copying fees alone are going to be pretty expensive. But the good news is the marina itself, most of the work, the preliminary work had been done in-house. It's not going to cost a whole lot out of pocket to get it in the water.
And we're looking at possibly kind of some beautification around the surrounding
Yes.
areas as well?
Yeah, we did do some late season cleanup. There'll always be a certain amount of driftwood and debris that gets put into there, so it's going to be a yearly cleanup thing. But it's been an area that's been ignored for years. They put the Healthy Loan Trail out there. When I first started working for the city, and that's 4 years ago now, it was a disaster then. It gets worn down, and nothing put back into it. So this will be a big improvement.
Great, thank you. Any?
Can you update us on water breaks? I think you had another break today. And
Yes.
I think you
Hillcrest-
said that we're
Hillcrest?
about normal for this time of year, and
Yes.
maybe the councils might want to hear what the status of that.
Thank you.
Yeah, just basically, probably since October, I think we've had 5 or 6 water breaks. The mayor had asked the question if it was normal. I would say, from my experience, yes. From my obviously a lot more experience in the city. We're no more or less breaks than average. A lot depends on weather, age of pipe,
Frost.
That's what I was gonna.
and then in the age, like I said, the overall age of the system in that area.
And it's not one particular area of the city also, it's all different areas, different age pipe, different circumstances. You might have an earthquake that you only hear, have problems.
Does it tend to, Mike, January, February get even more because the frost line gets deeper? Or?
It may, yes, that could happen.
It can exacerbate.
Freeze thaw cycle.
Yeah.
Has a lot of factors too, though. When there's a water break somewhere, you get air in the line, the air causes a water hammer. A lot of times that's the reason for the breaks.
The air base, out in Lake Country Village area, that tends to be the problematic when we get the air infused in the system. That's where we suffer the most breaks. That's where it seems to be, and that pipe is, suspect to that, or, susceptible to that, I should say.
Any additional questions?
Thank you, Mike.
Moving on to item 3, agenda items for the departments to be approved. 3.1, request for increase of the refuge collection rates effective December 14th. $1 per month to the weekly pickup service rates and 50 cents per month to bi-weekly pickup service rates. I guess my question is, how does this?
We're asking for the refuge rates to be raised due to the fact the cost of dumping at the landfill for the city has steadily increased every year. However, we have not adjusted the refuge service since 2013, okay? In the last 3 years alone, the landfill dumping fees have increased from $63.77 per ton to $66.76 a ton. So we have to play catch up a little bit. And that's why we're asking for the raise.
Do we know how that rate compares to some of the other collection services?
I think, from what my knowledge, I think we're still under the other collection services. We're pretty competitive. So, you know.
The weekly pickup were tend to be about $2 to $3 range, I believe, last time I looked.
Yeah.
Under. So we were about, I think, 29 change, Rich?
29.75.
Yeah, the flyers I see from
The weekly
Casella
pickup
flying around are
after that.
32 to 33-ish. You know, so we're very competitive.
Any other questions regarding item 3.1?
No.
Okay, moving on, 3.2. Questions?
So this is just a trailhead. There's not going to be any changes made to the actual trail.
No, it's simply a convenient facility, a couple of benches, some information plaques, a bike rack, a few other things.
Some trees I see there.
Yeah, a couple of trees.
Sounds good.
Again, that's all at the cost to the city.
Okay. 3.3.
One thing I should mention about that, as part of the arrangement, and this hasn't been codified in writing, but the Greenway has agreed as part of this project to repave the Terry Gordon bike path.
Wow, that's great.
So that's, Mike, what would you say, 60, 70 grand worth of asphalt?
Yeah, at least it was. We had met with the Empire State Trail people, and they were
That's
asking what
fabulous.
they could do for us, and we kind of threw it out there as a, hey, you know, this is something that Mike Brody and myself have looked at. We have some trouble spots. You know, the majority of the path is, a good portion is in decent shape. We have some stuff that's getting rough and what have you, and now's the time to catch it. And they were, you know, from what they told us, they're looking to help us out by overlaying the path because they are, you know, building the Empire State Trail. So that's big.
Do we have any idea what, because we'll be responsible for future maintenance, what that might involve or cost?
The same maintenance that we currently have. You know, for instance, we were out over the last week and a half cleaning fence line, pulling roots, mowing. This has always been a sore subject, is do we plow it or do we not plow it? And it sounds funny, but you have a select group of people that like to walk, and you have a select group of people that like to cross-country ski.
But can't the cross-country skiers ski alongside the path just
Not
as
in all
easily?
areas, there's some tight spots.
Okay.
So we have, this season we have plowed it, and we haven't gotten to the point yet. We're gonna continue to
Yay.
plow as we pass.
Okay.
Okay, moving on, 3.3, request to close Ruger Street this coming Tuesday between 8 and 5 for repairs on a broken water line. I'm sure that, will we
That
definitely
is a
get the
request
press
being
out and
made
get the
by-
word out that that will be closed?
It's a request being made by the city campus. We'll get the word on the city website. They're ultimately responsible for the work. This is not a break with the cities. We did spend a substantial amount of time helping them troubleshoot it over the weekend. All three of us were in. plus maintenance staff, trying to figure out whose it is. Mapping of the sewer utilities is important best. We helped them identify what they had. It looks like that we can locate its dead center of Ruby Street. So there's a good chance we can dig all the way across, replacing the whole section of pipe.
And it's not one where it's on one side of the road or the other, where they can typically just shut one lane down, have somebody there to direct traffic, with it being located in the middle of the road. They have to dig in the middle, there's no way to get traffic around the equipment.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that it's known with school,
Yep.
with the high school, I mean, college won't be in session, but.
Yeah, we did
with
let
the-
them know, and they're going to let all the news media outlets know.
Any additional questions? 3-4, excuse me. Mayor authorizes sign managed services agreement with Prime Link. Where do we stand in regard to, I know we spoke about looking at.
Right. I have the same question.
We were gonna look at maybe putting out an RFP for IT services.
As part of this process, we were approached by a local vendor that would like to do a network assessment for us to see if we are in fact ready to move to a different kind of computing. And I don't know if that ever
Actually,
happened.
2 or 3 potential vendors, I think, Nadland scans their system, and I think they're ready for you to spec out an RFP, and I think we'll have a lot of interest in it.
But who will need to initiate the actual RFP though?
Well, there's a committee that's formulating what the city will want to do, and then we'll put the RFP out on your behalf.
Now, this item is, what month is it talking about? Because if I remember, Richard was talking about this, and he was talking about a 6-month option to renew.
They're
Is that
doing
correct?
this-
I
they're
could
doing
be
it month to
remembering
month.
wrong.
Now it's changing.
The agreement we have right now expires at the end of this year, so I think this is to extend it into next year.
This is just kind of a
So this will be for
continuation to
January.
keep it so that we don't lose service.
Yep.
And this is the same price as the agreement we have right now on a month? Obviously,
Got 7,000 a month.
and does this include contracting services with our former IT director, Mr. Mayor?
16 hours a week.
Okay. So it's the exact same, just,
It's just it's broken down basically monthly instead of annually.
And I think why it isn't just as simple as just going out with an RFP is that the committee's trying to figure out just whether there's a different way to do IT. I mentioned at the last department head meeting that I'd at least like to have a consideration that something like this is a $230 Chromebook, becomes the de facto way that most of us will do a lot of our work. You know, I do a lot of pretty complicated spreadsheets and stuff on it, but I've been strictly using a Chromebook for the last month or so. So, and I purchased a couple just from my own funds, not the city funds at all, but I want to set one up for various department heads to try out and see if they could do a lot of their work with it. If we can get some information that maybe we can just provide some people with a good internet connection that's secure, and other people will need the full gamut, like the finance office and Munis and all that kind of stuff. The police have specialized equipment that might only be, might need Microsoft, but so the committee's trying to wrestle with, is there a different way to deliver IT services?
Is there a way we could also, just as part of that RFP, also maybe include telephone service or?
Right, it would could encompass that too. Currently it does. We have a, was it Mitel or Cisco system that is administered through that same department as well. And just like the university did, there's a potential to convert to a Google Enterprise Edition where we all have our same email addresses we always have, but it's all stored in a cloud now.
Right.
And it may end up being cheaper. We don't know those answers yet. We need to do a lot more research, but.
So then we will essentially every month until we do issue the RFP, each month we will have to renew this contract.
No, I think it's renewed on a month-to-month basis, so it goes as long as
So we don't, I mean, it doesn't have, as a council, we don't have to keep approving it every month?
No.
We'd have to do a
We
PO
have a
every month. wouldn't we,
30-day
Bill?
termination.
Yeah, we have purchase orders actually on an annual basis for prime link services and so forth. So this is cancel, the way it reads is you cancel it with 30-day notice. So it goes on month to month until.
Okay, no, but I guess my question, we don't have to keep approving it every month, though. It would just be an issued purchase order
Just the
until we
payment.
decide to cancel it.
Just the payment of it every month,
Okay.
yes. Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions? 3.5, request from John Ruff that the mayor authorize a license for Robin Whedon to enter City of Plattsburgh property out on Route 3 to remove scrub brush. That's out by the water plant, correct?
Right.
Any questions? Okay. 3.6, request from John to, for capital outlay be increased by $100,000 to provide for the following purchases of the new sludge trailer and a new pickup truck. I think we've been talking about this for, I think, since I've been on the council.
Yeah, as far as the sludge trailer goes, we did go out to bid last year and buy a new one. We have 2 old ones. We had looked at repairing the old ones. We had looked at getting new trailers for them and putting new boxes on them, and ran the cost, and it made sense to buy at least one new trailer. Now we found that the deterioration of the other 2 was accelerated, and they don't seem to be repairable economically. We still have the option of buying a new set of wheels and frame and all that and putting the old box on it. That might save us a little bit of money, but then becomes a reliability issue. So it makes a lot more sense to buy a new trailer. So we have 2 new ones. Then we will take the worst of the old ones, we'll probably put it out to auction, and we'll keep the better of the old ones and maybe put some Band-Aids on it so that it can be used as a spare in frequent circumstances.
How often are those trailers utilized, John? on a weekly
Every
basis?
day. On average, you send 1 trailer a day to some disposal site. Some days it's 2, some days it's 1, some days it's none. An odd day it might be 3. But it's on average, it's 1 trailer a day.
And we're consistently using all, or 3 different trailers on a daily basis?
2. Yeah. So when they haul 1 trailer out, we're still making sludge, so the second trailer's there and it's being filled. And if we're doing 2 trailers that day, and then they'll come back from the landfill or the other location and drop off the empty and grab the second full trailer.
Was there any idea of, or was there any looking into getting a used trailer that was possibly in good shape or anything like that?
Back before we put the bid spec out, we did a little bit of that research, but these are kind of specialized and they really don't exist in decent condition, which is the reason why, excuse me, we buy our own trailers. We used to put the whole tractor and trailer bid out for proposal. And what we found was that all the other contractors had the trailers, they had to go buy them and then recover their cost in 1 year. So we were paying through the nose because they had to go buy a trailer that we paid for, and then if they didn't get the contract the next year, they kept it. So we realized that no matter who's doing the hauling, they gotta have the trailer. So we bought the trailers. It saved us a lot of money.
How large are those?
What's that?
How large are those? I've never seen
They're
them.
about 36 feet long. And then they're a dump trailer too, so it's a
It doesn't
big-
require a special license or anything?
Oh, yeah, definite special licenses that, our people don't have, so we contract for the tractor and the licensed driver to do the hauling. And we end up saving money that way, because ends up, excuse me, being sometimes some of the hauled waste guys will get the bid, so they'll haul some waste in, liquid waste, dump it, drop their tanker, leave it there, grab a trailer, go to the landfill, come back, and all that kind of stuff. So when they put their bid in, they factor in some of those efficiencies, and that gets us the best rate. Then on a pickup truck, we have I think it's a 2000 pickup truck that's used to go back and forth to GP every day to do all the lab work out the Altona sludge lagoons and the things. It's just it's shot and limping along, so gonna buy a new one on state contract.
What kind of pickup truck?
F-150, 8-foot bed. I think no extended cab or anything like that, just regular pickup truck. It's not going to be rated for plowing or anything. We have a few that are 250s that have got plow frames on and all that, so that'll save us a few bucks.
So John, the $100,000 is coming from the sewer fund?
Yeah, it's going to come out of the operating fund. Right now, there's about
Transfer.
$2 million in fund balance sitting there. And Rich has got a request on to transfer $1 million of that to the reserve.
Right. Is that part
Next
of
item.
the $1 million that'll be transferred?
I don't know.
Pardon me?
Is that part of the $1 million that you're requesting for the transfer, the 100,000 for these two
The operating
items?
fund's about 2 million, so we're sending $1 million to the reserve.
No, but the question is this 100,000 that John's
For the capital
requesting,
outlay account.
the sludge trailer and the pickup, are they part of that $1 million transfer?
No. So the $1 million that's still in the reserve, or in the operating fund, 100,000 of that will go, so we'll have $900,000
This is going to be paid out of the operating funds from the sewer fund.
John, I think it was last year or the year before we asked you to take your existing sludge trailer and see if you could fix it and continue to use it, and you did, right?
We bought one new one, and we had at least one of the others had some repairs on it.
Yeah.
But they're both to the point now where they're telling us
You're saying
the frames are shot.
we got an extra year out of it, or ever how long it was,
Right,
and now it's
so
time to
we still
replace
have the option of buying a new frame instead of wheels. When you run the numbers on that and putting a new box on, it's slightly less expensive than buying a new one. Then I start to look at, all right, what's that do to the reliability? And we're gonna be running into more repairs, it's gonna be off the road, it's just.
So what is the useful life of one of these?
First 5 years, pretty much get away without doing much of anything to it. Then the next 5 years, you start putting money into it. At least 10 years. But after 10 years, you start sinking some cash into it.
Do you have any other intentions for this $1 million that you're about to move to the capital reserve?
Nothing specific, but most of that reserve money is going to be used for this mitigation work.
Okay.
So whether it's in the operating fund or in the reserve, it's pretty much spoken for, so we might as well put it in a reserve, so.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
Thank
John.
you, John.
Well, Mike kind of went into 3.8 at this point. Does anybody have any questions regarding 3.7 or 3.8?
Just, I read Mr. Mark's intentions there to adjust the general fund appropriated fund balance for corrections needed, and I think that's much appreciated. Richard, I'm glad you did that. Looked like a lot of work, but puts everything into balance.
It's
So.
long overdue. We finally trust the numbers in our trust and agency accounting system within units as opposed to some off the books worksheet that nobody else knows about.
From what I understand, it'll help you automate some of the munis.
Oh, yeah. It gets rid of a ton of general journal entries that have to be made, and it provides tracking in a much faster and more efficient way, and also it creates a lot less requirements at year end to give information to our auditors. It's always the objective, you think these things through from beginning to how they go in the financial statements and how you support them. That's why you do these things, to make sure they're in the system and they're all reconcilable and they're all easy to track. Off the book stuff never works.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that, Richard.
I didn't do all the work.
Your team did. Well,
It was a nasty project, but like I said, I don't know how many years it hasn't been done. Back before my time, and couldn't get anybody to do it up until now, so we finally got it accomplished.
Well, thank you.
Okay, moving on, I think we can probably combine 3.9 and 3.10. Infrastructure Committee recommending 2 people to serve 2-year terms on the advisory, Parking Advisory Committee. Both gentlemen, we did have a couple of people express some interest. I know of at least 3 people that did express some interest. Patrick and I discussed these two gentlemen. Also, one of the people who did express interest is actually going to be away for some time, so we both felt that
These
it
are
was.
good recommendations. They both have properties downtown,
Mhm.
and, you know, I mean, didn't Joe Rotella serve on the planning
Planning
board?
board.
Yeah, he was chair of the planning board.
Yeah,
His wife was on the council.
yep, I knew that,
Yeah.
yeah. And I
uh,
think David had expressed some interest in
David had
serving,
expressed
so-
some interest, and as we know, he's been attending meetings
Mhm.
on a somewhat regular basis, so. He
Good minds.
definitely has some interest in. Moving on, 311, request from John Ruff to attend the NYWEA annual meeting in New York City at a cost not to exceed $1,785. Guess, where, is that money budgeted, John?
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's sewer money, water resource recovery facility money, which means actually about a third of that will be reimbursed by Georgia Pacific Tax within the state account. So the net cost to the ratepayers is $1,200 or so.
What is NYWEA?
It's the New York Water Environment Association. It's basically a stormwater and wastewater professional group for New York. This is attended by about 1,000 people that consist of utility managers like myself, consultants, regulators, elected officials, and there's a whole series of sessions on a variety of topics, which I provided in the memo. So come back with a lot of knowledge, which is good. But a couple things happen. You know, when I look at something like this, I think to myself, what's the return on this investment? Can I show a direct economic improvement? I know that's important to you folks, and it's important to ratepayers to understand that. Direct benefit from last year's meeting was a couple things. One, because of some of the relationships we've established with the regulators and the certification organizations, I was granted approval to teach some of the certification classes for our wastewater operators here, which saved us about $2,500 in fees that we would have incurred if we had sent them away to school, not including their time away. And we also got invited to participate in this energy audit program I was talking about earlier. That's not something that's open to everyone, but the city of Plattsburgh is perceived as a leader in the water environment, in large part due to our attendance and presence at these kind of functions. They want to make sure that they're giving their money or investing their program resources into communities that are committed and going to do a good job with the services they receive. So there's some direct financial benefits. The intangibles, though, are priceless. I could get into some of that stuff if you want, but at the end of the day, it's a really, really worthwhile.
And I'll say, having attended numerous conferences and meetings in New York, $1,785 for a 3-day conference is very, very low.
Just a quick question. Thinking of the stormwater project next to Memorial Gym that was, you know, we got grant money for, I think Kevin Farrington helped steward that one along. Any investigations that are possible on the horizon for similar types of projects to go in other areas of the city? I know one of the benefits to that project was to keep some of the runoff that comes from the parking lot from going directly, you know, down the banks and into the lake. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
you know, I think
as far as a specific initiative like that, I'm not aware of any, but I do know that during the course of normal development, the planning board requires stormwater controls. I believe the Main Road project incorporated some somewhat sophisticated stormwater management devices to reduce the sediment contaminant.
so that's
coming off
becoming,
that.
you know,
So
really
it's kind of
routine.
standard practice that's
Yep,
built into normal project
All
development.
right,
yeah.
good. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John. At this time, I will entertain a motion then to have items 3.1 through 3.11
So
move
moved.
to the,
I'm sorry.
agenda, the regular meeting.
So moved.
Patrick, second. Roll call?
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Mayor Reed?
Yes.
Thank you. Old business. Hearing none, moving on. New business. Hearing none. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.